What's going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of Joe and his technology. Today I am going to show you Google Home and Echo Dot, the Alexa small little hockey puck shave cream sized device. Now today I'm going to show you mostly everything I can think of for Google Home. It's a very biased video in regards to Google Home. And I'm going to show you some counterparts to it with Amazon Alexa. So you can kind of compare and contrast to see if Google Home is right for you. Let's get into it.
Have you ever felt?
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Good stuff. So the question I get often is, why do you need a Home or Echo assisted device in your home? And the short answer of it is today it acts like the central hub of your entire home in one location or multiples, because you can have a couple of these different devices throughout your home wherever you find them useful. Like my kitchen is where I typically put my Google Home device. The main thing about these is that it's entirely hands-free. Everything you saw in those videos in the opening shot were entirely controlled by Google Home, including that pizza. That's right, that pizza was ordered from Domino's 100% hands-free. It was ordered by saying, "Okay, Google, contact Domino's," and it went out and grabbed my latest and greatest order, or I actually have a saved order with them, and it just charged my card just like that. And away it went. No big deal. It knew what I wanted, and within 40 minutes later, that pizza that you saw in that video was arrived at my home. All I had to do was sign for it and give her a tip. That's pretty slick, huh? So why I'm kind of excited about Google Home is that not only will it become the central hub of my home, especially in my kitchen where I find I'm going to use it the most, but there's going to be so much packed into this one little unit that it's going to be relatively shocking as to how much learning the Google Assistant that's built into this will do over time. With Google Home today, there's approximately 35 services built in, including the latest release, which is actually using Netflix in order to cast movies or your TV shows to your local Chromecasts. Amazon Alexa and Google Home share one common factor, and that is what Alexa calls skills and Google Home calls services. What skills or services are is the ability to call out different APIs and enabling you to state a command and have the device take an action. So I want to call on my Wemo devices and say, turn off my outside lights. It'll do that. If I want to adjust my Honeywell Total Comfort Connect, there is a skill for that, so that you can automatically go out in Alexa and contact your thermostat and change the temperature. With Google Home at the moment, it is somewhat limited. It has got 35 services again, but the interesting and awesome thing about this is that Google has allowed if this then that to run, so that you can pretty much well do whatever you want, which is so. I'm going to dive into the bulk of Google Home. And again, it's the hub where it's a hands-free service to where you want to just walk into a room, tell it to turn on the lights, and it just works. And as well as it's the ability to watch TVs and listen to music as kind of, I wouldn't say portable speaker, because it has to be, Google Home has to be wired. And another thing to note about watching, or I should say listening to music or watching shows on particular TVs is it definitely relies on not Bluetooth but Chromecast services. So if you have a Nexus device or you have a Pixel or you have other Android-based devices, you can cast, well, even on iPhones, because you can do it through YouTube, through Netflix. A lot of these apps already have Chromecast functionality built into them. So what you can do now is you can basically say with Google is you're casting things to your TV or to specific speakers as you've named them using Wi-Fi. And that's a really interesting concept and something for most people to think about when choosing either Amazon's Echoes or Google Home. How often are you going to really want to use one of these devices portable? Not very many. Matter of fact, I've only seen one person in a meeting actually have a Bluetooth-enabled Amazon Echo sitting on a table just so he could talk to it and have his phone like cast it, or I should say Bluetooth it to the Echo. And I was in the middle of a meeting where it was probably really difficult to get the Alexa hooked up to the Wi-Fi. I don't know. The short and skinny of it for me is that I much prefer Google's thought processes when it comes to casting devices. I much prefer the Google knowledge base, which to me is much more accurate. And I think over time, I think the services that Google Home will be much more relevant. And after 2 years on the market, Amazon's Echo seems to be all over the board. With what you can basically go after in terms of skills. You know, the reality is, I don't care if you have a Google Home or you have an Alexa, all of these things are going to be very difficult to remember. Whereas with Google Home, if you're using if this then that to trigger a lot of your actions, they're things and statements that you've created, things that just are much more natural, like turn on office lights. You know, you can somewhat do that with Alexa too, somewhat easily. But you can do so much more and have it catered to your own thought processes. With the services that Google Home offers on the inside of this thing, they are a little bit more locked in to the specific commands, but it's very simple. All of them have the exact same things. Hey Google, talk to Domino's. That's how that pizza was ordered. Okay, Google, talk to Uber. And then it'll just go through those various things. Okay, Google, talk to Wall Street Journal. You know, so I mean, it's a very one process thing, or you can get a little bit more fancy with it in order to get into all of your major setups. This is the Google Home app. The Google Home app is for controlling your Google Home as well as your other Chromecast devices, including any other Wi-Fi enabled speakers, such as my Vizio soundbar that's underneath my TV. I can cast to that. So this app is set up in a few different ways. First is just the watch section, so that you can basically cast shows and movies to your Chromecast devices, along with, of course, most apps today, including on iPhone, who have YouTube or Netflix. If you have a Chromecast enabled device, you can cast to your TVs directly from those apps, again, from Android or iPhone, as well as listening to music. So if you have YouTube Music or TuneIn Radio, Pandora, Google Play Music, and I do believe Spotify as well, you can cast to speakers throughout your home, including your Google Home. So the main splash page of this is strictly for what you have, discovering other apps, potential things to watch. You can go ahead and rent movies through here. So it's almost like a central hub, much like the Google Home, for anything video and audio. In the top left-hand corner, you're going to see basically your settings, and this is where you get into all of the things that Google Assistant has to offer for your Google Home. For this purpose, instead of showing you all of my devices, I'm just going to launch right into the Google Assistant, which is related to the Google Home. So here, what you're going to see are your music options, which apps you're using for your default players, such as YouTube Music, Google Play Music, Spotify, Pandora. In that first section, that's where you would set it up. And if you get a Google Home relatively soon, they're giving away YouTube Red free for 6 months. So you can cast and continuously play YouTube Music or YouTube or listen to all the channels on Google Play Music. So it's a pretty wide variety subscription. I'm not much into subscriptions, and I'll just show you this area. I have it set to YouTube because it's free, but I'll probably switch to Google Play Music after my subscription expires. It's going to play all the music out of my library, so anything I've purchased or downloaded for music, Google Play has. And again, you can see that Spotify as well as Pandora. The next section here is your home control. So this is where you're going to add devices. This is also where you're going to set up your rooms. And if you see, I'm just going to quickly show you that you have the ability to add a Nest thermostat, SmartThings, as well as a Philips Hue. What I expect to see here in the future is much more like the Echo, where you can see a lot more of the home or assistant enabled home automation products, including Honeywell. Again, there's a lot of Nest products that are on the market today. There's even Wemo. I use a lot of Wemo Belkin switches because I don't particularly want to have all the Hue lighting. Some of it I don't want to, like your outdoor lighting. What are you going to do about that, right? So you get a Wemo switch for that. So it just controls it still. And it's all talking. And you can set up the specific lights. You can also set up specific rooms, so groupings of your lights in one specific place. Coming back out, the nice thing about this is that I can completely customize my news. Not only the order in which it comes in, but also the sources. I like NPR, I like Wall Street Journal, I like Newsy, so I've basically picked and choose the various outlets and in which order I hear them. The My Day summary, or your briefing as it's called in Echo, basically it'll tell me my current weather. Unlike Echo, it'll also tell me my work commute, which is interesting because if my wife asks that same question, this is tied to my Gmail account, not hers at the moment. It is one downside. So if she asks the question, she's actually going to get my work commute time. Not cool, but I envision that getting better throughout the time as they continue to improve. I get my meetings so long as they're on my Gmail calendar. It also will tell me my upcoming reminders. And my daily summary ends with my news that we saw in the current section in that same order. So that's kind of cool. I can sit there and make my coffee and listen to all this stuff. Here's a listing of all of the different devices that my Google Assistant within Google Home is talking to, including the Google Home, which is a form of speaker. So it is talking to my living room. It is talking to my Nexus player, which is a Google TV basically, and that's tied into my bedroom, and it's also into the grandkids' room. If I want to add more devices, would be the screen that you would want to add. So pretty simple, pretty basic. You could basically tell Google Home right now to cast something, in my case, to YouTube, or even to Netflix, which they just recently added. You can do that all from that one screen. So you can say cast to my living room, I'm currently watching Black Mirrors, and so okay Google, cast Black Mirror into the TV, the living room TV. Pretty simple. Your shopping list is connected to Google Keep. Okay, in this latest release, they actually got the two talking. At one point, you could not find your shopping list in your Google Keep. You had to come into the Home app to find it. They got that solved. I have mine pinned at the top of my Google Keep, so I can be in the kitchen and say, geez, I'm out of sugar, or gee, I am out of whatever. Hey, okay, Google, add blah, blah, blah to my shopping list. And it just adds it there for you while your hands are full or you're cooking or something like that. The second to last item I'm going to show you is your videos. As you can see, I do have my Netflix account actually set up here, so I guess I'm casting from my Netflix instead of YouTube. YouTube can be a little hit or miss right now to me. You're asking for a specific video or a specific thought, and it shows you a video that's somewhat relative on whatever TV you tell it to send it to. The last section I want to show you is the services. So the services are very similar to Echo's skills, and I'll show you that in later on in this video. The services right now, Google only has up to 35. But the reality is a lot of these things I don't envision ever needing. And they're going to add a lot more to them. I mean, this was just updated not that long ago. So the amount of services that are already enabled by default are ready to go out of the box. Unlike in the Echo, you actually have to enable the skill that you want. These are just ready to go. If you find one that you like, they're just set up. You can just start talking to it about these things. Say, for example, you want this Food Network one. The Food Network one, you can say, if you're watching something on the Food Network, hey Google, send that recipe that's currently on the Food Network to my email address. Echo does that too, but just to show you, they're kind of really going after the key ingredients or skills or services that I think are much more meaningful and relevant. So in this particular case, it shows you different examples of things that you can do. And in many cases, I can just say, okay, Google, talk to blah, blah, blah. I don't have to remember any of the rest of these stuff. And a voice will come on, and it'll start asking you basically of what about the Food Network did you want. So I think this is going to, I think overall, the Google services are a lot better thought out and a little bit more generic. So if you can't remember anything else, you could say, okay, Google, talk to Domino's. And that's exactly how that pizza arrived. So let's take a look at that one. So you remember what I said at the beginning of this video, that magic pizza showed up 40 minutes later after talking to Google Home. Well, it was this recipe right here, or this service right here, that made that happen. I have the Domino's app. I have my credit card saved in the Domino's app, and I have both purchased something recently, but I also have a saved easy order, which is like a favorite meal. It's a pizza and some wings. So that's what I asked it to order, and voila, 40 minutes later, it just showed up, which was really cool. So basically I said, okay, Google, talk to Domino's. And it walked me through the steps. So what do you want to order, your recent or your easy order, which is like my favorites order with them. And I said, okay, got it, sending the order now. And on my Android Wear watch, basically I could watch the tracker. It was all talking, which was, and to me, that's what really separates Amazon away from Android products, is everything is talking, and that is phenomenal. So I can watch my pizza tracker on my Android Wear watch. If I happen to take an action on my Android or my Google Assistant or Google Home, you know, it's not just limited to that one place, not for everything. But whereas if you set a timer on your Google Home, that is somewhat limited to just that device. So, I mean, why would you want your timers going off in 3 or 4 different places? It just makes better sense. This is If This Then That. It's a secondary app that you can download to any Android device, and I do believe it's available for iPhones as well. And it acts like a trigger. So if this happens, an event, me saying something to Google Home, you know, my cell phone rings, take this action. You know, so it's a really powerful app. So in other words, you're not just limited to the 35 services that are pre-built into Google Home as of today, which is awesome. So these are some of my applets, and I'm just going to show you this one that's talking to my Honeywell thermostat. So with this one, all I have to say is cool the house to a specific number, and it knows to change my thermostat to cool to that temperature. So I remember I was saying that Google Home is a lot more personal than than the Alexas. So this is why. So I actually have 3 different ways that are natural for me in order to get my thermostat to change. Not only that, I could say set the thermostat to cool to, I don't know, 75 degrees. I also have the ability to program what Google Home says back to me. So it says setting the thermostat to cool the house to 75 degrees. And from there, when that happens, it sends a command through to Honeywell's APIs to my main house thermostat. It changes it to cool. And you remember there were some pound signs above where I would have said the number. If this then that picks up on the number, applies it into the field as an ingredient. That's what that's called. It's called an ingredient. And it knows the Fahrenheit or Celsius, and I have it set it to run that way for about 3 hours because I have a schedule. It's a 7-day programmable, both heating and cooling, and I can set mine to run automatically. So again, this is just a really powerful thing. And I can do this for a wide variety of things. If I want it to be more personal in regards to its responses to me, I don't necessarily have to be locked into the Google Home services. If I want to control my hue, it can do that. If you want to block your calendar, if this then that can help you do that. But as you notice here as well, Google Home is not the only one that takes advantage of if this then that. So with this particular one, I can say, Alexa, trigger bedroom. And this particular one, if I say this to the Echo, will run and change all of my lights. It'll turn them on, and it'll change them to a specific color. So it's just simple things. But again, remember I said one downside to any of these assistant devices is remembering all of that. So if you want to just get yourself something to write with and get all these things down, that may be easier. How much of this are you going to remember? I don't know, but I can say I think these things will get easier the more time that goes by as both of these companies figure this stuff out. This is the Alexa app. This is what runs your Echo, and it works whether you've got the tall one or you've got the Echo Dot. It's the same app doing the same thing. As like I said, the only real difference between the tall unit and the small unit is probably the sound quality on the speakers. And really, what are you expecting out of these things? It's probably a voice response. Are you going to sit there and listen to music on all these things? I do in my kitchen, and that's kind of one of the other pros to me, the Google Home. Everybody's ears are a little bit different. I actually enjoy the Google Home in the lower bass than the Alexas. I don't know. Everybody has their own thing. But in the app, basically you've got, like I was showing you in the Google Home, what they call services, you've got these skills. So there's a huge amount of skills that you can get yourselves into with Echo. Okay, now you can open a quick event, something from your Google Calendar, and there's a lot of things already built in that may help you to bypass if this then that. However, you'll also know that with if this then that, you can state what the command physically is. A lot of these things, in my experience, are not that natural. They just don't flow off. That wasn't the first thing I would have thought of to do. My skills here are pretty limited. I mean, I could have done this with this, then that. There was, again, only about 35 of these skills are really available. But like Buzzword wasn't with Google Home. There's a lot of stuff that's just not. But I mean, how often am I really going to use this? So you can see right here that I've got my total, my control, my Honeywell Total Connect Comfort Thermostat. Again, that's if you don't enable this, it's not going to work. And that's something else that kind of bothers me is the services over on Google Home. All of them are enabled. All you have to know is which ones you want to use. With these, you actually have to go and enable these things either by voice, directly with your Echo Dot, or using this app. So that can be kind of annoying to me. The other thing is, much like the Google Home, you also have the ability to set up your smart home too, so that you can get your lighting going. The one advantage, like I said, is this has been out for a little bit longer, is that you've got the ability to also tie in your other devices from Wemo to the thermostat. It's all right here, so you can set up your groups. Whereas with the Google Home, as of today, you're pretty limited on what tools are available to you in terms of all of the automation inside of a lot of people's homes today, whether it be Hue, SmartThings, Wemo. This one is more apt to probably be able to talk to it than a Google Home today. But if you're like me, you probably have if this then that, and it's not that big of a deal because if this then that talks to them all. So you can see that my groups include my bedroom, my office lights, my outside lights, and it can also talk to, again, your thermostat. Okay, Google. Heat the house to 65.
Okay, setting the heater to 65 degrees.
Okay, Google. Talk to NPR1.
Sure, here's NPR 1.
Playing lawmaker's musical tie goes off during asbestos speech.
Good morning, I'm David Green. Angus Osnadig is an Irish lawmaker who wore a Santa Claus tie to work. He was giving a speech about workers exposed to his...
Sure, cancelled.
Okay, Google. Talk to Wall Street Journal.
Sure, here's Wall Street Journal.
Welcome to the Wall Street Journal. I can tell you the latest news, provide a market update, or look up a company. What would you like to do?
Latest news.
Here is the first headline, published 27 minutes ago. 9 dead, 50 injured as truck rams Berlin Christmas market. Sure, cancelled.
Okay, Google. Talk to Domino's.
Sure, here's Domino's.
Hi, Domino's here. Would you like your most recent order or your easy order?
Okay, Google, stop.
Sure, canceled.
Okay, Google. Give me my news brief.
Here's the latest news. From NPR News Summary at 7 p.m. today.
Support for NPR comes from the Fresh Market's new Mind and Body department, now offering a selection of vitamins and supplements and beauty and body care products. Available at select Charlotte stores.
Okay,
Details
Google,
at
stop.
the Fresh Market.
Okay, Google. Tell me about my day.
Good evening, Joe. The time is 7:56 p.m. The weather in Mount Holly currently is 40 degrees and cloudy with a high of 41 degrees. Tomorrow at 7 a.m., you have 30 take the dogs to the vet. Have a good one. Here's the latest news. From NPR News Summary at 7 p.m. today.
Okay, Google. Turn off the kitchen lights.
Sure, turning off the kitchen lights.
Okay, Google. Turn on the living room lights.
Got it. Turning on the living room light.
Okay, Google. Turn on the kitchen lights.
You got it. Turning on the kitchen lights.
Okay, Google. Turn on leg lamp.
You got it. Turning the leg lamp on.
And there you have it. Google Home and all of its functionality wrapped up for you in a video. So I know it was long, but I wanted to give you guys a great insight into the app, into IFTTT, and a bunch of other functionality that make Google Home work today. So some of the big key differences again are that with Google Home you are streaming things via Wi-Fi. That's called Chromecasting. So everything is even from your cell phone, casting it to the Google Home or your other speakers from your local library and Google Play Music. you're basically casting it and calling out to Google's APIs to then send it via Wi-Fi over to your various devices. It's not Bluetooth. With a recent update since I've been making this video is that Alexa actually added Fire Stick controls, so you can start casting things to your TV using a Fire Stick. But again, what I'm thinking in long term is that Google has really got the edge on this market because it's machine learning. It will learn as you go. The more information and questions that you ask, it'll better understand and basically think of in terms of better responses as you go along. So its answers will improve as time goes by and the more that you actually use it. So Google Home offers itself up, much like Alexa, as the central hub for all the various apps that you currently have on your phone or your tablet, all packaged up into one place for you to talk to get it to work. From your Hue devices to Wemo, to casting things on TV, to listening to music, or asking it general knowledge questions. Google Home is definitely probably one of the best contenders on the market, even though it is still limited to its 35 services. You would run IFTTT to basically take control over everything that really matters in a smart home today. I mean, again, how often are you going to need inspirational quotes? Or some of the other games that they pack in? I don't know, that may be your thing if you're helping and sitting there having fun with your child. But as for me with my smart home, I only want to take control of the things that matter. And Alexa does a great job at these things. They've been at it now for a couple of years. Not to knock Amazon in any way, shape, or form. I'm just happen to be a Google fanboy, and that's because I just prefer the casting. I prefer telling it which TV to operate on. I prefer its conversions for, or the thought processes for the kitchen. It just all around is a better application for me. So I hope you've enjoyed. Like, comment, and subscribe on this video if you've taken the time to make it this far. It's definitely been filled with lots of different pieces of information for you to consider. Maybe come back to this video after you get said Google Home and look at some of the things that I'm showing you in the instructions. But until then, have fun, enjoy playing around with your smart home, and I hope that you consider a Google Home for your purchase in the future. See you next time.